Oh, it changed.
See, there's a bootleg PowerPoint from another PowerPoint.
That's the trick.
What if they?
You think it's not bootlegged already?
How long did it take to torrent this PowerPoint?
I will let you know I'm using the highest end software, Microsoft Office.
High five, teamwork.
We actually ordered this PowerPoint off Vistaprint. Just want to let you guys know, use the code Evan Butler for nothing off. I remember Turnitin.com. I got cited because I cited a newspaper and it was like, you used the newspaper. And I was like, I know, I cited it. And, like, and that was community college. I had a lot of fun in community college.
That's the panel.
That story's not going anywhere good.
No bullet points? That
I
sucks.
dissected a pony in my community college and they cut open its guts.
What? Yeah, that was journalism class. That was why they were angry.
Still a lot of fun, though.
About my life for the next hour.
That's a nightmare no one wants to live.
We can ramble on and we can all provide colorful commentary. So last Halloween, me and my friend Bo, sitting in the front row over here, we went to a party, which is strange because people don't like us. And so we went to a party, and we get in there, and I see this girl that I haven't seen in 3 years. She was a friend of my ex, and me and her were together. Me and my ex were together for a long time, and then we broke up, and she sort of took all my friends because that's what women do. And hey, Zach, that's my cousin. Hey, Zach. Glad family and literally friends showed up. Thanks, guys. And so this girl's just like, hey, Evan, and I'm like, hey, what's up, Sarah? And then like she's like, oh, I'm sorry for not talking to you for 3 years.
We're at 10:29, so make it quick.
All right. So like, moral of the story is that she kind of had like a crazy PTSD boyfriend. He just got back from the war, and she was crying because like she was so happy to see me. And he's like, what did you do to my girlfriend? And I was like, nothing. And then he like ran through the house after her. She tried to get away. And me and Bo were like, we should leave. And this guy was like, wait, you can't go yet. And he brings up this YouTube video of this kid playing the John Cena theme on his nose with a recorder. You guys gotta see this.
This is not
And I'm like, we're literally
wait.
gonna get murdered for this. Screw you. And they said, wait, no, really, before you go, did you make out with my girlfriend in 8th grade? I'm like, what? He's like, Cookie. Do you remember Cookie? And I'm like, you mean from 2006? And he was like, yeah. Did you make out with her? And I was like, no, I made out with your friend Hannah. And he's like, thank you. You know, because I never really knew. And like, I'm finally getting some closure. And I'm just like, what is this? What is this house? Why don't these people know me?
And it's 10:30.
All right, so.
Welcome to Bootlegs, Counterfeits, and Lies. Yay!
Yay! Woo!
Hi, what's up, guys? This is a professional panel done by professionals. I am literally.
No, I'm a professional. What are you talking about?
Y'all professionally bootleg? It's awesome.
Literally pirated this.
Excuse me, it's called a repro.
Alright, so today's panel is going to be about fakes in the video game market and horrible things like that. Alright, so first off, we're going to do. I know which click it is. Quincy? Alright, hi, my name is Evan Butler. I'm a private investigator and video gamer. I know that's an awful, awful title, but I have been cited by the BBC and Ars Technica as being a video game expert. That was a mistake. I have just a bit of background about me, is that I am a licensed private investigator in the state of Virginia. I've worked for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I have a master's degree in forensics. I'm pretty, I guess, qualified. Except for I act like this all the time. And with me today are some of my panel co-hosts. We have Quincy Pringle.
He's Quincy Pringle. I was just waving.
Hi.
He's an indie game developer, musician, and for hire, please hire him. And he's here to help me today because he's done, we like to consider ourselves a bit of video game historians. We like to sort of go out and dig up the sort of hidden histories and the secrets behind, you know, the development of games, why certain games got canceled, why games never got released, and, you know, just like why some games leaked into private collectors' hands. And it's very interesting things like that. And we also have Joshua Bone Christian, not you, This is Josh over here. Say hi, Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Hi. Hi, Josh.
Hi.
Hi.
Goodbye.
Speaking of the mic.
Oh, into the. Oh, cool. This mic actually works. Awesome. We just plugged it in. Yeah. Hi. I am an animator. Currently going to Pacific Northwest College of Arts, all the way in Portland. I don't know why I flew so far.
All the way. Boy, is his arm tired.
God damn it, Evan. I hope you die. Thanks, Dad.
Get out. All of you.
Yeah.
All right. And Josh is also one of our little group who loves digging up the sort of secret hidden history behind a lot of games. Everyone up here is a mistake.
I
But we
let
also-
them borrow a pen 4 hours ago. That's why I'm here.
But we also have the wonderful Ethan, who is he wants to be a lawyer one day. I don't know you.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
That's Joe, and that's Andrew over there. And that's Alyssa.
I'm Graham.
Nothing much.
No one.
So, first let's launch into this. What the hell is a bootleg? A bootleg is usually sort of colloquially known as it's a very poor copy. It's just sort of ripped and thrown together, and it's trash on a stick, and it sucks so much. And so we have some just horrible bootlegs that I managed to just find.
Sticker on correct.
They couldn't put on the correct sticker. And so, this is just sort of like an overview. We're going to get into it pretty deep. So this is what a bootleg is. And then we get into sort of another category, which is counterfeits. What is a counterfeit? A counterfeit often tries to present itself as being the genuine article. What we have here. Yes, it is a high-end bootleg. Yeah.
Counterfeits are high-end bootlegs. Bootlegs are low-end, counterfeits are high-end.
Yeah, exactly. You see these things pop up on eBay all the time. Like this little Samson one, for example. This was a pretty famous one.
This is a very famous example that was on eBay. And so when you look at it, Little Samson is a very valuable NES game. It can go for over $1,000. It's stupidly overpriced. And so this is the North American version. But the thing is that this is a counterfeit. The way that people were able to figure out that this was not a genuine article was that on the back they've got a picture of the back. And what you see, can you guys count the screws? All right, let's count the screws together. You got 1,
5,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shut up. It's funny. Ha ha ha. Sesame Street. All right, so Little Samson was never released as a 5-screw cartridge. It was actually only released as a 3-screw cartridge. Some of you guys probably don't know, but there's NES games were either released as 5-screw or as 3-screw. And
3 screws before because technically there's 3 screws in the original backs and 5 screws when they went to the processor upgrade to
Yes.
higher resolution after Star Fox. Star Fox isn't high graphics, so this will make more room in space.
somebody did get bodied. It was sad. Yeah, basically originally they used 3 screws and they ended up upgrading to 5 screws for security. Basically reason why people, which also sort of ties into bootlegs and counterfeits, the reason why they upgraded the screws was because originally with the 3-screw design, people would go in and they were just like normal screws, and they would go and they would open it out and they would swap out the boards with a copy of the, when, you would go and rent a game from Blockbuster and you would just swap out the PCBs inside. Boards. English. Boards. Yeah. Boards. You can swap out the boards. Thank you.
Motherboard.
Motherboards. Thank you. And so we're getting into another category is what's a reproduction? What's a reproduction? We sort of classify reproduction as being a game that's being sort of reproduced after the sort of initial run has been done, and it's for the resale aftermarket pretty much exclusively. And really big examples, of course, are Earthbound Zero. Everybody knows that. If you're in this panel and you don't know what Earthbound Zero is, Google it.
Download it on the Wii U.
Also, you don't know? You don't know?
Wii U now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's on Wii Virtual Console as Earthbound Beginnings now, officially as of July?
I think so.
July, June.
I was very
last
excited.
year.
Numbers.
Goodness.
So, and a lot of reproductions are often home brews or ROM hacks or just other tinker things. So when you have an article and you're wondering whether or not it's the real deal or not, what's the first thing that you're gonna look at? It's gonna be the plastic shrink wrap on that thing. You want to see if it's nice it's crisp. And you also want to do some research because all the different types of games that were sealed, they used different types of sealing. So, NES's, the Super Nintendos, they all were sealed differently. And so one of the first things you want to look at if you want to see if you have the real deal is you look at the plastic. Some games weren't sealed with plastic. What's a good example of that, Ethan?
Earthbound. Yeah, Earthbound, given a gigantic box.
Earthbound. So that's one of the biggest ones, is a lot of times people are saying Earthbound sealed, and so they have the big box Earthbound, which came in
Cardboard.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I thought you said something.
No,
You didn't say anything?
Fight.
Why are you giggling? I'm trying to do a panel.
Get it together, Quincy.
Hit him.
So, Earthbound never came sealed. Thank you. So, how do you know if you have a reseal? Usually it's pretty easy to spot, like these horribly resealed, in my basement, copies of, just some sort of vaguely popular PS3 games. You can see that the seals they're not really level, they're warped in some areas, they're very saggy, they don't cling exactly to the box, to the package, to the packaging.
The shrink wrapper. To resell properly, then you need a heat sink shrink wrapper to melt the seal and even temperature and vacuum seal it.
Yes, however, that isn't the type of seals that PS3 games came in.
But point to that's insane.
But the problem is that nowadays people are getting really good at resealing games, especially some of the rare ones. Like if you get a copy of Evo and just get the box that's in really good condition, and you can just pretty much Frankenstein the entire thing together. People are pretty much perfecting the art of resealing. And you're just on Twitter?
Washington Post.
Why are you reading? It was interesting, and I'm very insecure right now. I put like 3 minutes of really hard effort into this. Yeah, you gonna make it up to me?
Yeah,
I like ice cream.
I know, in the middle of February.
I love ice cream. So, true
You
facts.
also started making this PowerPoint 4 hours ago, just letting you know.
I have no regrets.
2 years ago at MAGFest, it was 5 degrees, polar vortex, he wanted frozen yogurt.
Okay. I'm glad these people are learning so much about me. So, God.
Really?
There's actually a lot more.
All right, so I thought it would be a lot of fun today. You go to cons, you go to festivals. On every single floor, you will see lots of repros. You will see lots of funny things. So I took the liberty, Josh and I, to go out on the floor and take some photographs. So here we present to you the MAGFest 2016 Hall of Shame.
Wait. Before we go any further, I just want to say, disclaimer, literally everything that you see in this is fiction and completely untrue. It
Yeah,
would take only a fool to believe what is being presented today to be any amount of slander or defamation.
Yeah.
What you're about to see is lies, and more lies.
Yeah.
And you cannot sue us because this is art. This is an expression. And we're totally not singling out anybody ever, period. You're all beautiful. Especially every vendor down in the vendor hall.
Especially the one that sold me the broken Sega
Shut up.
Genesis last year.
Totally not about that. We're good people.
That's debatable.
This is
That's
our
the full
beautiful
screen.
Hall of Shame.
All right, so who here knows what this is? Afro Man. Afro Man?
Yep, never came out. So it's pretty easy to tell that this is not a
Largely,
legit company.
yeah, it says homebrew right on it.
Yeah.
They didn't even try.
Didn't even try. And
And also, they also got the color wrong on the game, like color scheme.
Wait, does that have the official Nintendo seal?
This is like some fine bro stuff.
Why does it have the seal?
Trademarking the random words. I'm gonna trademark the word MAGFest.
Official
So I can get away with that.
It's homebrew seed.
Yeah, I had to zoom.
oh man, we're gonna talk about it
This
for
one
hours.
is close to my heart. This is a reproduction of Mother 3 for Game Boy Advance, which came out in Japan. I'm
On
sure
420.
Yeah.
if you honestly, if you were to look up Mother 3 on eBay, 90% of what you will see will probably be a reproduction. Most likely we'll say right on the front, English translation on it.
Yep, and this is an English translation one. And for all of you guys who are Mother fans, you will probably know that there was a fan translation released. I think it was 2008. Yeah. October 19th, 2008. Yeah, by the Tomato Clyde Mandolin, very talented guy. Yeah, so this is 100% not legit. It's profiting off of the work of other people, dedicated fans. So if you see stuff like this, do not buy it.
That's just our...
Yeah, that's our interpretation. Our opinion. All of these images are rendered by CGI. They're not photographs.
So what you see here is, I may have not opened up a case, and there inside is a wonderful copy of Kuru, or however you pronounce it.
The other ones on that table are also the atomic cartridge.
Yeah. So, and obviously, the thing about this is that this game was released in English in Europe. It's part of the series. It's the only English one that was released in Europe, and you can buy it in English, which is really amazing. And so I assume that this is literally the exact same game because it's already in English. It's just been dumped onto a flash card. So you see this a lot. And of course this.
I'm pretty sure this was an actual, game that came out.
This is actually a licensed game only in Taiwan.
There are a lot of really interesting stories, like going into secondhand game stores. I definitely had an experience walking into a store. I live in Oregon, so it was a local store, and they had a copy of Harry's Legend for NES, which was it's actually not. I mean, it's Harry Potter. Which obviously was not made in time for the NES.
Talking about Philosopher's Stone was published in 1985. Everyone's.
Also on the label was completely just straight ripped from the Deathly Hallows American release cover art. So it was not even trying, and they were selling it for like $80.
Right,
Super rare though.
Alright, and you guys haven't played this game before?
Oh, God.
Yes!
This is a very fun, challenge, very easy family game. You can sit down with your kids and play it.
Yeah, right.
Very linear.
If you played this, I'm sorry.
You say words, I just want to throw up. You do.
Okay.
But alas, this game did only release in Japan, if I recall.
Unfortunately.
So, and the thing is, we don't want to demonize aftermarket sales. Aftermarket is basically because nobody's really making NES games anymore besides some like weirdo indie developers, and Nintendo really isn't licensing them anymore, and it's not happening. But people are out there that are making these really cool homebrew games, and it's really fascinating. And people are, if you went to the aftermarket, there was a panel before this about aftermarket games by the wonderful Christian. If you're there he is. If you guys have any questions about homebrew, ROM hack type games, he is the resource. He is fantastic. You can also find him on Nintendo Age by the name of Ferris Bueller.
Yeah. So, but like aftermarket stuff, there's a difference between licensed things and then profiting off ROM hacks and fan translations and stuff like that were not like the authors didn't give them the permission to do that. So it's really sad to see just like that kind of stuff being profited off of when I was like the creators had no input on it whatsoever. So that's the stuff I don't like.
And I think we will see an example of that in the slideshow, right?
No, well, we already saw Mother 3 and yeah, Sonic.exe, the pinnacle of American literature. Someone made it into a ROM hack. So this one, Mother Anniversary Edition, was actually made by a friend of mine. It's basically a complete sprite rehaul of Mother 1. It is actually a pretty well done ROM hack, because some of the graphics in Mother 1 were kind of iffy, but this guy's he's very good. But anyways, I saw this and it just about broke my heart because these people, this is like,
we have no idea who's actually making these.
Would make a pretty hefty chunk of change, off this. And it's like I know the buddy, he didn't earn a cent from this. It's just sad to see.
And recently, I've had a chance to go ahead and talk to some federal agents. And I was actually talking to Federal Bureau of Securities and Exchange, the FEC. Is that it? Yeah, Federal Exchange Commission. And they're the ones that are actually handling this. And believe it or not, game reproductions have recently caught their eye. They've been used, I don't want to say for money laundering, but they've been used sort of, they're ill-gotten gain. And they're actually, the feds are actually starting to look into this sort of thing, which really blew my mind, because I thought when I was talking to them about this, that they never heard of it, but they actually were interested in it because people were, people are running a racket using these sort of things. And it's gotten to the point where it's been free reign. That's why you see such a proliferation. You can go online, you can see tons and tons of bootlegs and reproductions just running rampant. And they're cheap to make. I can go onto Alibaba.com, which is a wonderful wholesale site, wonderful wholesale site, and you can go on Alibaba.com and you can buy in bulk reproductions of the Game Boy Advance Pokemon cartridges. You can get about 10 for about $5 or something like that. And what people are doing is that they're importing them, they're throwing them up on eBay, and they're selling a few a day. But if they sell a few a day and they make $200, $300 a day on eBay or Etsy or something like that, or just through private sales, peer-to-peer sales, the feds are going to notice, and they have noticed, which is wonderful, in my opinion. But this sort of thing is going to stop very soon. I'm sorry, guys. This is going to get clamped down, and some people are going to be sent some pretty nasty letters, and there's going to be some bad stuff happen. So it's very interesting to see the maximum of where people are taking these reproductions. And some of them are creating pretty much art. They're making these unique ROM hack games that are just fantastic, and other people are trying to sell little Samsons with 5 screws. They're trying to sell stadium events with, the wrong Nintendo seal on them. They're trying to sell just Earthbound. They're trying to sell Earthbound for the Super Nintendo, goes for about $200.
I went into my local game store the other day and I found a copy of Bomberman 64 with Bomberman spelled wrong. Oh. So close. Everything else looked great.
How do they spell it?
Yeah, there was the second game.
Bob
Super Bomberman.
And so it's just, legally, this is a strange area for everybody. And as you guys out there, as consumers, people who love video games, you might want to be careful when you, especially if you plan on buying a large amount of these things and are thinking about maybe reselling them, because if you're moving enough bulk, if you're making enough money, people or interested parties, maybe the authorities will become, they'll ask some questions and it'll be hard to answer them. If the U.S. Marshals can show up to a store for selling fake Redskins jerseys, I think maybe somebody might show up to, a video game store that's selling a few hundred fake Earthbound copies. So, they did really turn up for fake jerseys. That was the day.
Yeah, that's just stuff.
The U.S. Marshals showed up because somebody was selling some fake jerseys. That's the story. No. Well, I mean, there is, but that's...
The story basically is we're still waiting on Hollywood to get the rights so they can make a third U.S. Marshals movie with Tommy Lee Jones.
It's true. So, is there anything that you got, basically my advice to you as consumers is, before you spend more than $100 on any video game item, period, do some freaking research.
Yeah, be a smart consumer. A lot of time with common sense, there'll be really, really obvious mistakes, and then you can see, oh, this is not legit. Buying a repro, that's repros, that's...
You usually know what you're buying with a
yeah,
repro.
But the counterfeits is what you gotta watch out
If
for.
you're looking for a sealed game, make sure the seal is good. Like I said, not every seal is the same, and you want to do some research. Just Google it, go ahead, look online, and find out what is the type of what is the type of seal that came with a copy of Stadium Events or something like that. Just go online, spend 3 seconds doing it, and don't. I made the mistake of, I saw a Minish Cap online for $20 and I bought it. My mistake was ordering it from the seller being in Hong Kong. On eBay, never buy anything from anyone in Hong Kong, China, or Taiwan. You will get a fake. Never, ever, 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 ever do that. And if you're spending, you know, tons of freaking money, there's a lot of quote-unquote companies that do services and make sure that certain items are the real deal, that they're actual unique items. I'm specifically referencing the Video Game Authority. I don't like the Video Game Authority. The Video Game Authority is a wonderful company that, in my opinion, no, this isn't about my opinion. I hate them. But
Why did you close the laptop?
because I wanted to just talk to the that's why I closed the laptop. I wanted to have a personal conversation with you, my friends. I am happy. Then stop talking. You're interrupting me. I invited you up here because I thought that you had a lot. I don't know you, man.
All I do is just smile and wink at people. That's it.
That's how you
Even the guy next to you had something to say.
But yeah, the VGA is a company that will sink a lot of time into it. They have sort of a proofing service where, you know, if you have a very rare cartridge or something like that, you can send it and get a letter of authenticity. But in the end, what they end up pretty much doing is writing a letter of their opinion. You know, they're a video game authority, but they're only authorized by themselves. So, yes.
And what you just said is that's their opinion. You're relying on a person, and people make mistakes because they have made mistakes before. I believe they slabbed a proto that was later shown not to be a proto. I know that there's like instances where they messed up.
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect, so keep that in mind too.
So if you guys are spending like $2,000, $3,000, $30,000 on a rare one-of-a-kind video game, like, don't. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned $30,000. I assume that is in reference to the infamous Aero Fighters 3?
Correct.
Yes.
The Aero Fighters 3, that is a wonderful case. You guys can go ahead and look that up. It is, Aero Fighters 3 sort of just like came out of nowhere. It was this super rare, one-of-a-kind thing, and it ended up being sort of like sold, but was it real, was it fake? And it's just like all these little tiny points of when it ended up sort of being just an incredibly well-crafted counterfeit, I think. Jury's still sort of out.
Yeah, and there's...
Well, never they decided whether it was fake or not, because it's kind of more of a Schrodinger's cat scenario.
We'll never really know. Like my life.
But yeah, there are a lot of like especially with prototypes I found are really particularly easy to be sort of bamboozled into knowing they're fake.
Me and Josh, we were interested. We've always been interested in Earthbound, especially Earthbound 0, now known as Earthbound Beginnings. And me and Josh went on this crazy witch hunt over this thing. Tell that story.
Yeah. So basically, over the course of I think it was like almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
It was like 2 years ago now. We were looking around to try and track down all of the owners that we could possibly figure out of the various different Earthbound prototypes that are floating around.
We found a guy.
And we found a guy
through his fur affinity.
Yeah,
we weren't on that. It was an accident. For research purposes, clearly.
Well, there was a guy who had posted on Earthbound Central. There's a really actually nifty page. It's sort of outdated now. That Tomato, the guy who did the translation of Mother 3, posted. And they had posted in the comment section saying that they had claimed to have this prototype, which was the one that the actual ROM of Earthbound 0 was pulled off of for emulators.
The famous TK69 card.
Yeah. And Neo Demi Force pulled that off. They're an amazing team. And
so we hunt down this guy on his fur affinity account. We're sending him all these